What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar with C-Zar Gets Crypto, and we are talking about Bitcoin Cash. I want to look at the RSI on the weekly. I want to point something out that I found to be kind of interesting. So let's just address it. If you don't know, just look at this dashed line here, right? You can see it kind of hops around. This is week to week. We're on the weekly chart here. So this week we closed at 58. The next week we closed at 78, basically, right? And yes, you had this line move throughout that, but from this week's close to this week's close, that's the moves you had. That's why the line's connected there. It goes from close to close. Anyways, we're gonna measure. So like clearly you can see this week we were not in the overbought zone. This week here we were. This week here we were not. We're gonna see how long we've been in the overbought zone throughout Bitcoin Cash's history. This was 1 week. This was 1 week, and then this one you were not overbought. You were, and then the next week you weren't. So 1 week for each. That's 1 week 3 times. Going over here, we've got not in the overbought zone here, but we are here. So that's 1, 2, 3 weeks in the overbought zone. So we've had 3 1 weeks and then 1 3 week. This one here, not in the overbought zone this week, but you were this week. So that's 1, 2, and then on the third week you actually were just out of the overbought zone. So 2. You've got 3 1s, 1 3, and 1 2. This one you could count, but I would more count that as a rejection off the overbought zone. Personally, I wouldn't count that, but if you want to, you can. That's only 1 week. Here, not overbought, but then here you were 1, 2, and then on the third week you were out of it. Here, not overbought. Here you were 1, 2, third week you were out of it. 1 week, 1 week, as you can see, 1 week, and then that's the last iterations we had up until this time. We've been, and in fact, we had our longest stint without being in the overbought zone in Bitcoin Cash's history, which, on a weekly basis, 2017 to now, that's not a whole lot of history to go off of. I'm pretty sure that's like a total of 8 or 9 iterations that we just measured. But the current one, the current one that we're in, we were not in the overbought zone this week, but the next week we were in the overbought zone. So that's 1 week there, 2 weeks here, 3 weeks here, and then 4 weeks as of now. As of now. There are 3 days, 21 hours left in this week. And if this week closes green, or even if it closes just slightly red, this will still be in the overbought zone. And this will be a first time in Bitcoin Cash's history where we've had more than 3 weeks in the overbought zone. Personally, at the moment, I'm thinking that by the end of this week, we actually might have a move that takes us out of the overbought zone. And where that would take us, I don't know. Maybe it would take us to around 230, maybe around 220. I don't actually have the math down. Maybe it's lower than that. I don't think it would take much. Probably a move to like this previous high, probably around like 220 or 230, and that would take us out of the overbought zone. And if we do that, we're just doing the same stuff that we've done every single time, or not every single time, but throughout Bitcoin Cash's history. The longest instance that we've had in the overbought zone on a weekly basis before this was 3 weeks. If in about 4 days we close at this price level or even just slightly red, we will have had 4 weeks in the overbought zone confirmed. As this price moves, so will this reading on the RSI. This can move all around. Sorry, and so it's not closed yet. It's not set in stone. This can definitely move, and that's my impression at the moment. Obviously, guys, you know that I'm bearish, or at least short-term bearish on Bitcoin Cash. And with this, I just thought it was kind of interesting that the longest stint that we've ever had in the overbought zone was 3 weeks. That was the longest one we've had, and now here we are on our 4th week. Will this be the first? Will this be a first time that Bitcoin Cash does this? Maybe. It's totally possible. And I mean, what a move to do it on too. This is this is one of the strongest moves, if not the strongest move on a weekly time frame. It is the strongest move that we've ever seen in Bitcoin Cash's history. You can see it right here. This high, it's just barely higher than this high. Just barely, right? But you can see it like basically tips that line, and this you can see the clear space in between it. But I'm not going to like scope it in too much, but it is technically the strongest move on a weekly basis that we've ever seen in Bitcoin Cash's history. The last time that we were even close to this, it happened to be right here, right? We saw from the top to the bottom, I think this was a 43% move. 43.4% move to the downside. If we were to move 43.4% to the downside from top here to low, 43.4 or 5, whatever, that'd put us right around 180, 186, 190, something like that, which is like the minimum of the range that I'm expecting us to go to. Maybe we see that, maybe we don't, I don't know. Because also, even though we did have a very strong move here on the readings, it was only sustained for 2 weeks. This has already been sustained for 3 weeks, and potentially it could be sustained for 4 weeks. That would be twice as long as this. Sorry, there was a bug. And I think that would, to me, indicate that we're in kind of different circumstances. And already I would say that we are, because this was at the end of the bull rally. I think that we're more at the beginning of the bull rally. I don't think that we have, let's see, that's January to May. I don't think that we got 5 months until we top. I think that we've got a lot longer than that until we top, which is good, for anybody who wants to accumulate Bitcoin Cash. But it's also probably good for everybody. You don't want to just move straight up. I mean, if this thing went to $10,000, I'm sure any person holding it would not be upset, if it just moved straight up to $10,000. But that's not how things work. And that's not how this thing works. Throughout its history, I've said this in every video, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down, whatever. Even this small move right here, that's a 63% move from top to bottom. So we measured, or we kind of saw what we did here. We had a 43% drop with this high in the RSI that was comparable to this one. Right now, as of right now, we've had 3 weeks that are closed, with the fourth one being open. If we go back to the time that we had 3 weeks, it was over here. It was a lot less, it was a lot lower of a reading. But if we look at it, I think this is more fitting to kind of the dynamic that we're in right now. And I'm not expecting something like this to happen. I mean, it could happen, but I'm not expecting something like this to happen. But hear me out. In the price, we had 3 weeks here at the top. Before this, we had the lows of the bear market / the beginning of the bull market, right? That was the lows. And then once we came off the lows, we moved sideways for quite a bit. And then we had a nice dramatic move up. We trickled up a little bit, and this was basically the top. Once we had this 3 weeks in the overbought zone, that marked the top. And we proceeded to go down for quite a while, from June of 2019 until December of 2019, basically half a year. We went down 67%. Here we had the lows of the bear market. We moved sideways for quite a while. We had a nice move up, and now we're at these high limits in the RSI that we've been in for 3 weeks, just like this, right? And it doesn't look the same, but it all, the way that I just said it, I mean, it literally is basically the same thing, right? You were at the lows over here, you moved sideways, you had your nice move up, and then you proceeded to go lower. You had your lows here. You moved sideways. You did go up a little bit, but it's totally different look. I'm not denying that. I'm not trying to say that these look alike. I'm saying from the readings on the RSI that they kind of have a similarity in the sense that you had a low, you moved sideways, you moved up. Now you've been up in this RSI in the overbought zone for quite a while. The last time that we did anything like that, which was over here, this was the topping area before we moved down for about half a year to the tune of a 60-something% drop. Could we do that now? Does it have to take half a year for us to do that? Could we have a more dramatic drop and then continue to move sideways as we were doing for the past year? It's possible. I don't know. I really don't know. We'll know when we get there. Is it possible that this is the first 4 weeks that we've seen ever in the overbought zone, and this is just the mark of strength? This is the mark that this move is not done, and it's going to go, straight up to the moon. It's possible. I forget who I was talking to, but in the comments, I forget who it was, but somebody was saying that we haven't made a move that's convincing to the downside yet, and I said I agree. We haven't. We have not made a move that's convincing yet to the downside. My bias is to the downside. Everything that I've said as far as that goes, that's my opinion. That's based off of a few other things other than my opinion. Obviously, we moved up a solid 200 and something percent from low to high. We moved up 263% without any sizable retracement at all. And that's just not normal for Bitcoin Cash, right? Anytime in Bitcoin Cash's history that we've had a sizable move up, we've also had a sizable move down every single time. We're at an area where the price is actually right above or right below this purple line, an area that we've rejected before, found support on before, found support on before, and closing on a closing period rejected. Then once we broke above it, we found support on it. I would say on a weekly basis, maybe not this line like to the T is respected, but in this area it's respected. And we just hit an area where at the moment it would prove to be resistance. Again, after pumping a very solid bit without having any sizable retracement on an asset that is nothing but volatile, literally nothing but volatile. Could this be the first time that it doesn't have volatility, it doesn't move down, that it stays in the overbought zone for 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks, maybe longer than that, and it just moves up from here? It's possible. I don't think it's likely. And that's what TA is, at least in my opinion. I try not to use my emotions. My bias is to the downside. And again, we haven't seen anything that has solidified that we are moving lower or that we are moving higher. We've just been in this range. If we look at it on the 4 hour, you can see it even more. We've literally just been gridlocked in this range now for about, I don't know, I guess 3 weeks, right? Or about 3 weeks. Same thing as Bitcoin, right? So no, there is no convincing move yet that says that we're going to move lower. There is no convincing move yet that says we're going to move higher. We are just in this range. But everything else that I just said previously to this is what is directing my bias. It's not just an emotional opinion. It's not just something that I'm going with my gut. I mean, maybe I'm going with my gut a little bit on it, right? I guess, but it's mainly derived from everything else that we've been observing in the charts. Beyond that, we look at the daily. We had this bearish divergence to mark the top. We rejected the overbought zone. We're getting lower highs in the daily, lower lows in the daily. This does look decent enough to make a move up into the overbought zone, but it would be very weird, man. It would be really weird to be in the overbought zone this long, come out of it, reject it, and then just come right back into it. Like it wouldn't make sense to me personally. And I'm not saying that because of my bias. I'm saying that because of my experience. It would be weird to me. And what we have to a somewhat of a technical degree, we have a high here, a lower high here, we have a high here and a higher high. That is bearish divergence to some degree. I wouldn't consider this like classic bearish divergence. It is divergence of some sorts. This is bearish divergence, but you don't normally get bearish divergence here and then bearish, like it comes at the top of a move. I don't know, but the RSI is diverging from the price nonetheless, so it is technically bearish divergence. If we look at the 4 hour, the 4 hour is actually kind of bullish. This is a bullish looking RSI, guys. You bounce off the 50, you have higher highs, you have higher lows, you're bouncing off an area right here. This bounce is kind of at an area where you resisted before. This is looking kind of good on a 4 hour. Maybe we do make another move up. Maybe we do go higher than this. And to be completely fair, talking about we haven't made a move that validates that we're going down yet, and we haven't made a move that validates us going up yet, we could move down to about like maybe not 250. I don't know. If we move down this low and we don't break it, I guess it's still not validated. But we can move down this low and still not be validated to the downside. Just like we could move up this high and still not be validated to the upside. We're still in this range one way or another. So could we move higher from here? In the meantime, yeah, we could. We definitely could. We've got higher highs, higher lows in this little range. This to me just doesn't look like a low. It really doesn't. But I mean, it technically is at the moment, right? You've got your low here, you got your higher low here, you got your high and then a lower high, but really what you had was higher lows, and now you've got your higher high. So maybe you just formed another higher low here and you're getting ready to form another higher high. It's possible. But at the moment, regardless of where we go in the meantime, I am expecting that we will break out of this range bearishly. And I don't believe that we're going to go higher than this high, but I didn't think that we were going to go higher than this high. So, whatever that's worth, I can be wrong. I've been wrong before, I'll be wrong again. And I think that's really it. That's all I want to say for this video. I really wanted to address the fact that on the weekly, we've never been more than 3 weeks in the overbought zone. We have the potential right now to have 4 weeks in it, but I'm under the impression actually that what this is telling us is that we have 3 days and 21 hours left in this week, and by that time I would expect that we are out of the overbought zone. We actually do see a move that brings us down, breaks out of this range that we see on the daily, on the 4 hour, and we will have a validation of the downside move that I've been expecting. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's been expecting it, but I'm sure there's also plenty of people that are expecting a move to the upside too. So that's all I got to say. If you like the video, leave a thumbs up, subscribe to see more, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.